thanks ever so much for inviting me to talk today, and again, thanks very much for Emerging Minds for funding our research, which has got the snappy title of Improving Wellbeing and Mental Health Relating to Racism in 10 to 11-year-olds, a Bristol case study. We didn't really think about having a really snappy acronym when we were writing the bid. So when we're working with the children, we are calling it the WARP project, which is Wellbeing and Racism project, just so that it's not quite so such a mouthful. But I think what is important for us to note here is that we are Bristol based. The whole team is Bristol based. Bristol is really important at the moment for Black Lives Matter, the toppling of Colston here. We've got the Jen Reid statue as well. Bristol City Council have estimated that we've got 5,600 5 to 16-year-olds that have diagnosable mental health issues, but we have no data recognising whether racism is a contributor to that. So we've got all sorts of really interesting things going on in Bristol, which I think makes our work and using Bristol as a case study really interesting. So we know that children experience racism, and earlier this year, new research commissioned by the Diana report reported that 32% of a poll of 1,000 children had heard some form of racism in school, and that was for 6 to 15-year-olds. But what's missing from that is, what's the impact? Okay, so they're hearing it, but what's the impact of it? It's also widely recognised that racism impacts health, and there is growing evidence that it's a psychological stressor. But again, a majority of the research has been with teenagers and adults, and the younger people, as we've just heard, younger people are reporting that they have memories of things starting as early as 10. I've been talking to people recently, and they've got memories of when they're 4 years old, of being told how they've got dirty hands, even though they've gone and washed them at nursery and kindergarten, and all sorts of things, that memories that have really stayed with them. So our work is based on two premises. First of all, we need a better understanding of institutional and interpersonal experiences of racism and how these are made sense of by younger people. We also need to recognise that the mechanism of influence on mental health for these younger people may not be the same as adults. So that's where we're going to come in from. Our team is made up of 6 people. We've got a mix of research experience and disciplinary expertise. So to begin with, we've got Chris. He's head of psychology here at the university and has experience of working with children and young people. Justin is a senior lecturer in primary education. He's previously a teacher and a member of the senior leadership team in socio-economically deprived areas of multicultural constituencies of London and Bristol. He's also recently begun his PhD on decolonising the curriculum. I was really excited to hear the aspects of art in your work, Shyamali, because we've got Lucy on our team, and she is a socially engaged artist and is really leading our team in thinking about how we can engage in art-based practice. So Lucy's got lots of experience of working with groups on the margins, both adults and children alike. And myself and Sarah have worked with Lucy on a couple of other projects, which I think really feed into what we're doing, even though they're perhaps not about racism per se. So the first one was the dry work that we worked on, and that was responding to a knowledge exchange project where we were taking knowledge and misconceptions about drought in the UK, which you might not think about it today as it's dipping it down with rain, and climate change, and considering how we can package that to support children's mental health and eco-anxieties. So we co-authored this, and it's free. It's a free downloadable book and teacher's notes, and that won the Geographical Association's Publishers Award last year. So Lucy and I are also working on the VIP Clear project at the moment as well, and that very much looks at COVID recovery from 3 to 11-year-olds. So again, we're always working in the primary sector, and has taken an art-based approach. So we've been doing all sorts of art-based workshops with children, doing deep mapping, analysing those maps. So we're using these techniques and bringing them into our new project. So as I said, Sarah, she's also in primary education. She's an experienced teacher. Her recent doctoral thesis was unpacking pedagogies relating to sensitive and controversial issues. And we're really interested in the idea of how do we teach, how do teachers engage in ideas of racism and supporting children about that. Tessa is another psychologist with experience of working in schools, and then that leaves me. So like Sarah and Justin, I was previously a teacher and a senior leader in school, as well as years of working for charities and local governments on issues of social justice. So using the experience of the team, we'll be drawing on art, as I said, as a method of inquiry and as a communication tool with 10 to 11-year-olds. So we're working with this far younger age bracket than's previously been worked with. Art, as Shomile said, it's that non-verbal route to engagement, which addresses some of the concerns that I know previous Emerging Mind workshops have raised. So the research questions that we're looking at are: what are 10 to 11-year-olds' experiences of racism, and how do they impact mental health and well-being? And because of our context, we're also looking at how, knowing about this, how can our teacher trainees, so our teachers of the future, contribute to contribute to the reduce the impact of racism on mental health and well-being. So what can we do in teacher training to prepare new teachers for this, as well as teachers who are already in schools? So we have a pilot phase which we're in at the moment. So we're working with our expert panel from our local community and council advisors, as well as students and teachers. We're meeting with them, a literature review, and also working with a school where we're trialling the methods that we're going to be using in phase 1. In phase 1, we then go in and we're working with another 2 schools in Bristol, and the approach that we're taking is we do a workshop that's led by Lucy and observed by 2 members of the team, and then after the workshop we are doing focus groups with the children and interviewing staff. So that's kind of what phase 1 is about, all of the time listening to children's experiences, their understandings and their identifications of potential mental health issues and well-being issues and concerns. Then phase 2, we then take all of that and work with the young people in school. So again, making sure that we've got young people's voice throughout this, and work on how we can package something for our trainee teachers. And with those young people, we deliver to our trainee teachers a toolkit for how they can go into schools and be more confident about teaching and facilitating discussions about racism and racism education and anti-racism education. And then we're evaluating that process as well. So the pilot stage at the moment is that we're preparing to go into schools, and the arts-based part of the work, through consultations, we're looking at body mapping. So using something quite familiar, a strategy that's used quite familiar in Thrive Education, and encouraging the children to think about those feelings, reactions and coping strategies within the body, and then those experiences that are coming in externally and how those are managed. So we're really looking forward to working with the young people on that. So the outcomes hopefully will enable young people to explore their own understandings and experiences of racism, which is really important, giving them an opportunity to discuss that. and how it impacts them. We also hope to improve better services in schools by feeding into the local belonging strategy, as well as doing CPD events for schools. Our university will be has committed to embedding the toolkit into the ITE programme, and it will be received by almost 300 PGCE and third year students this year. So that's 300 schools that will hopefully benefit from what we're doing here, as well as chapters, conference papers, and so forth. So I hope that gives you a taste of the kind of things that we are preparing, and thanks again for inviting me to discuss it.